What's going on, everybody? Happy Friday. You are tuned in to the Hot List. I come to y'all at 12 o'clock Central Standard Time. We hang out and answer a question of the day about real estate topics. Uh, the question of the day is submitted by a listener of the podcast. So if you have a question about real estate, maybe concern, not sure where to start, I would be happy to be the real estate resource that you think of and reach out to get your question answered. I will not only answer that question for you, I will use it for future episodes just like this one, because if you have that question, the chance that somebody else has that question is extremely high. And doing this show allows me to give back, get in touch with more people, reach more people, and help answer those questions. Hopefully, give them a little bit of direction on where to go and springboard to more in depth ways that they can figure out the question and the direction that they want to go. So I highly encourage everybody to please keep those questions coming. I can't do this without your questions. Please keep those coming. You can shoot them to me here on Facebook, YouTube, or the podcast player that you are currently listening to this on. So I just wanted to just take a moment, thank everybody, and please make sure you keep those questions coming. So this question came up from a buyer client that I currently have. We've looked at a few houses, and a couple of the houses have had bars in the basement for entertaining. One of them was a wet bar, one of them was a dry bar. So the question that they brought up, are bars still a thing? And more specifically, are wet bars still a thing? And I thought this was a great question because based on these houses that we looked at, these these were not recent these weren't recent models or updates, because long before the pandemic happened, people have been converting basement space into entertainment areas, whether it's a wet bar, dry bar, home theater, just somewhere that they could retreat and either decompress or entertain others in small groups. Now, with the pandemic is still kind of sort of a thing that's going on, having a home bar downstairs can really liven up that time with family or even friends, and just entertaining it in small close knit groups. There are a number of ways to set up a bar area, and having a wet bar on hand does make things a little bit more convenient than you know just having a dry bar. So with that question, I'm going to answer a question within a question, and explain the differences. So the difference between a wet bar versus a dry bar: a dry bar only has cabinets and storage options for you know maybe making some drinks or just display and storing. Wet bars have plumbing lines run used for sinks, ice makers, and maybe even a dishwasher if you have a large enough space. So if you're still with me, still tuning in, then obviously this sounds like a good idea to you as well. It's not just me, so thank you. So I'm going to answer our the question of the day: are wet bars still a thing? Absolutely, they are. So let's talk about some thoughts on having a wet bar and ways to make it your own. So we're going to talk about 5 tips for designing a wet bar. First tip is going to be planning. First things first, when it comes to this, you need to plan, you need to figure a layout. How much space do you want the bar to take up? Some want a full bar area, maybe with some seating, and have plenty of storage options. Others want something maybe a little bit more simple that's just got, maybe a couple cabinets, a small sink, and a mini fridge. While a wet bar seems like a small idea or a small space, there is a lot of shelving that's required. Obviously, you're going to need some water if you want to have a true wet bar, whether it's for a sink or an ice maker. So when you plan this out, you need to know where are the water lines? Where are they going to need to be run? How am I going to get them from over there to over here? And then, of course, is your basement space already finished? How is that going to impact and change how your finished space looks? Are you going to have to do some demo, then remodel? Or if it's unfinished space, how are you going to orientate it to maximize the amount of space and just finish that area? And speaking of space, that leads us into number two, which is how much space is going to be needed. In order to begin the construction, you need to have a plan. So now that you have the plan, next is the space. So the design of your bar is going to affect how much room it takes up. Again, it goes back to, how extravagant do you want? Do you want a dishwasher, ice maker, sink? I mean, do you want the works? Do you want to start small and expand? So all of that, you need to know how much space it's going to take, because this will in turn affect how much space you have available for anything you might want to add, either for entertaining, which we'll get into, seating, or like I said, maybe you want to start small and just expand as you have more people, as you get more of a budget, whatever it takes. And then with the space, what type of bar do you want? Do you want a walk behind bar? Do you want a bar that you walk up to? And maybe you want a stainless steel finish to give it a more modern look, or you know what type of countertops and cabinets do you want? How big? How much space is this going to take up? And because it's a wet bar, you're going to have to you're going to need storage for items. You're also going to need somewhere to display everything. Maybe you want to show off your wine collection, or do you just want them hidden behind a cabinet? Do you want a center cabinet that's centralized above the bar to put either wine or liquor? You know, so all of this is going to affect the look and the functionality of the bar. So all this is going to come into play. So you need to know how much space you have, how much space you're going to be able to take up. And then, of course, number three is lighting. So, you've got your plan, you got your layout. How much lighting will you need in the basement? I'm sure I don't have to tell all of y'all listening that lighting is essential. It not only brings out the style of the room, lights up the room, but it may help set the mood for the bar too. Do you want to use it for bright for entertaining? Maybe that's an area you want low light or accent lighting for you and your spouse to go down and just have a night in and decompress and just hang out and talk to each other. Because small bars will obviously require less lighting, but you want enough lighting that you can make the drinks, prep the drinks, and do basic operations. Then, if you do a larger bar, are you going to have seating? Are you going to have something for entertainment? You obviously need lighting for that. Maybe you want accent lighting underneath the cabinets or around the countertop. All that's going to come into play. And then from there, it's going to be your light fixtures, because this is going to start to get into the the next topic is decoration. So, what type of theme do you want for your bar? What type of lighting or lamps are going to complement your overall design? Do you want to have some type of decorative lighting or accent lighting? Uh, maybe you want to add a mirror or two, not just to give it that classic look and feel of a bar, but in smaller rooms and situations, having a mirror can actually make the room and the space appear larger. And with the entertaining, what with since you're entertaining, you want your bar to look nice. I mean, you want it to stand out and catch people's attention. And a lot of times that's going to go beyond the lighting and the countertops. What type of flooring do you want to put in there? And this is something that a lot of people don't really think about, because some of the bars, whether they're wet bars or dry bars that I've seen, they just carpet it, or maybe put some wood flooring down. I would recommend something that's waterproof if you're doing a wet bar. And you need something hard because you're going to be mixing drinks, dealing with water and ice. So you need something that is going to be durable and hold up to anything that is dropped on it, and try to reduce some slippage as well. And I kind of talked about the mirrors a little bit, but what type of wall coverings do you want? Because this is another way to go in and tie into the theme of the bar area. Do you want to do painted walls? Do you want to leave up the paneling from the 70s that is still in the current bar, or do you want to update it with maybe some some tile, some stone, some woodwork, whatever you want to do, you're able to do it. Um, do you want to go with a bar theme? Just let's go back to the wine and the whiskey that I talked about displaying. Do you want to have signs on the walls, or decorations on the walls of your favorite wine or wine pictures? Maybe you're a scotch drinker and you have a favorite scotch. Whatever it is, and whatever you decide, it's important to set up the bar to give it the look like it belongs. It's going to match the look and feel, maybe not of the whole basement, but just of that space. I'm not saying that it has to be a carbon copy and match the rest of your basement, because that might be kind of boring. I personally wouldn't want that. I would want it, something a little different that stands out. Not stand out to the point that it looks like a sore thumb, but just that it stands out and it's its own space that demands and catches people's attention. I just think that's something that you could do. And finally, number five, seating and entertainment. So you're building a wet bar and creating this space. Now you need to have some type of entertainment, because what else do your guests want to do when they swing by for drinks? Maybe you want to keep them there for a little bit and just hang out. Is it going to be something as simple as a TV, maybe a foosball table, pool table? That's entirely up to you. What do you want to have down there to help entertain people as they come over? Or maybe if it's your place to escape, maybe that's all you want is a simple TV to have some background noise, and while you just sit and enjoy a drink. All right, so now let's talk about seating. So going back to the second one on the list, which was the space. If you're limited by space, maybe you just opt for bar stools. They're simple, they're functional. You can pick them up relatively cheap, and they don't take up a whole lot of space. That's perfect. If you have a larger space and enough room, maybe you want to put some couches, some chairs, something people can hang out long term and lounge around in. Whatever you decide will determine the direction of this project. I would just recommend starting planning early to avoid any mistakes, and hope that this episode gives you a little bit of direction on where to start and kind of what to do along the way. Now, I know that obviously doesn't go into great detail about it, but this is just some general ideas to help get you guys started. So, the 5 tips for designing a wet bar, again, first and foremost, you want to plan. You want to know what you're going to set up, how you're going to set it up. If you're going to do a wet bar, how are you going to get the water there? Do you have enough space for an ice maker and dishwasher, or will a sink be enough just to clean as you go and just do an ice bucket? Number 2, space. How much space are you going to need? How much space are you going to want? How often are you going to entertain on a regular basis? Is it going to be family and friends? Is it just going to be you? Do you want something simple that is as simple as a couple cabinets with a sink? Do you want the capability of starting small and expanding and growing as your budget grows, or maybe as you want to do some updates and figure some things out? Do you have a wine collection or liquor collection that you want to display and showcase? You'll need space for that. You can set it out in front of people, or do you want it behind cabinets? Again, that all goes back to how you want it created. Number 3 was lighting. Lighting is essential. It's going to keep people there. It's going to set the mood. With smaller bars, you just need enough lighting to mix some drinks and do basic operations. With a larger bar that you have for entertaining, obviously you want something not just for the bar, but whatever type of entertainment you have there, as well as for seats. And number 4 was decorations. What type of theme do you want your bar to have? Are you a wine lover and have wine signs or paintings? Are you more of a whiskey or scotch drinker? Do you want the classic bar theme? Whatever you have, whatever you want, write it down, plan it out, see how much space you have to work with, and make it your own. You do you. It doesn't have to be something you see online or at somebody else's house and think it has to be like that. No, start small and then grow from there. And then finally, number 5, seating and entertainment. With a smaller bar, maybe you're limited by space and you can get away with bar stools. They're cheap, they're functional, they don't take up a whole lot of space. And at some point, maybe you have the room for a larger bar or want to do a larger bar area, then you can have couches, seats, benches, foosball table, TV, pool table, whatever you have, whatever options you want to do. Don't hold back. Just make it your own and just start planning early, avoid some of the mistakes, and get it done. I have no doubt that you're able to do it. Make it your own. If you have a bar or entertainment area in your basement, drop the pictures in the comments. I would love to see it and see what you were able to do with that space to make it your own. That is going to do it for me. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, I'm your host, Matt Johnson with Keller Williams Realty. I hope you guys have a great Friday and a great weekend. I have included links in the description to catch up on previous episodes, so make sure you check those out as well. Thank you guys so much for doing this and tuning in. Your experience matters and should be trusted with a veteran. Again, I hope you all have a phenomenal weekend. I'll see you on Monday. Take care.